Good morning, sheep. How are you today? Look at these little lambs here. You lured in. I don't think much of me, do they? Hey? Oh well, never mind. It's you see the mist beginning to rise in the fields there. It's potty o'clock on the last Saturday morning in May 2024, and I'm probably being observed by closed circuit TV here, but you remember in my videos about chidding line I was talking about there being an extra bit that I would film later, well much later. Here we are. This is Deanland, or Deanland Wood Park, Deanland Park as you want to call it. Deanland itself was rather spread out, there's a few cottages and that, but Deanland now really is the park, and it's quite a nice setting here. As it says, its name suggests, it's in the woods, it's park homes, been here for many years now, well established, and it's actually quite a popular place for people. And this is, if you like, the missing bit of chidding lie that I had to come to. Does help if I take it off, it's zooming in. It's not oldie established, this is a ER postbox, but here we go with the fashion D-Day 80. And there is a special connection with D-Day, which I will mention in just a moment as we get further down the road. But this is Deanland Wood Park. And we're on our way to two villages this morning. Funny things, sheep, aren't they? They're all gathering round the gate to see what I'm up to. Once they realise I haven't got any food, they're away. Well, I was hoping to film the moon, but the mist has come up and hidden it. I was talking about history earlier. Welcome to RAF Deanland, which was only an active station for a little over 18 months. And I mentioned earlier on when you saw the postbox topper about D-Day's 80th anniversary. Well, this was the airfield from which the first support aircraft took off for D-Day. And I understand it was the first squadron of Spitfires that took off from here for D-Day. And after the war it was let go a little bit. And in 1963 a local farmer decided that he would bring it back into use, and it's been in use ever since. It's now a private airstrip. There is no sign that says private, so hopefully it's alright just for me to walk up here and do a little bit of filming. I've never seen this before, to be honest, but you'll see an assortment of light aircraft here. And there's the runway stretching out across there. There's a little aircraft. Sometimes in the summer you'll see light aircraft arrive in the evening, and their chauffeur driven vehicles will come and take the folk in their penguin suits a few miles along the road to Glyndebourne. But you can learn to fly here. As I say, many of these little airfields connected with the war effort and the Battle of Britain. This one particularly had several squadrons here, and they were quite heavily involved in flying up to destroy the V1 flying bombs. I think they had 200 were destroyed by aircraft from this field. Now it slumbers in the early morning sunshine, the early morning mist. It'll probably be quite busy later as it's the weekend. And there's this little bird singing away up there. I wonder what it is. And he's gone. There you go. But this is RAF Deanland. Did I close that last segment with this is Deanland, RAF Deanland? It was RAF Deanland. Keep a close listen out, because in the distance I just heard a woodpecker. But I needed to show you this because we do have a home in Sussex for some very rare animals indeed. And this is the only place you will find them in the world. Miniature tree-dwelling elephants. They only live in this tree. Did you hear that knocking? Can you hear one there? They sound just like birds, don't they, these little elephants? Woodpecker's not so far away. Yes, unique miniature tree-dwelling elephants. And everything is done to conserve them. They're a dwindling species. There's only about half a dozen or so left here. But unique. And very few people know where to find them. Welcome to the village of Ripe. Been around since before the time of the Domesday Book, an old Saxon settlement, and at one time belonged to Harold Godwinson, Harold II, the man who was defeated at the Battle of Hastings. Now, I'd like to tell you about some of the listed buildings in places I go to. However, almost every building here is listed and I just can't remember everything. So I would recommend you to a website called British Listed Buildings. And it will tell you all about every single building that we're going to see on our way round. Look at this lovely bit of topiary here. That's been around a long time, isn't it? Beckington House, yes, this is a listed building. I'm sure there's parts of it go back to, I can see the bit at the back there, probably back to the 16th century, 17th maybe. What do I know? A man called Riddler lived here. Not the Riddler from Batman. He was a very well-known entertainer. And he was known as the Great Omni. There's also a famous author lived here, whose name escapes me at the moment, but before I film the next segment, I will, because he's buried in the churchyard, so I'll tell you a bit more about him then. All these gardens are kept lovely. This was a bustling village. There was a big wool industry in this area at one time. As I say, almost every building is a is a listed building. And here's the village cross in the middle. That used to be a nice place to come to. The Lamb Inn. Been closed for a number of years now, but look at the advert on the side there. Celebrated ales and stouts. Nice, isn't it? You have to come out early on a Saturday morning because actually I was quite surprised how busy it's been out on the road. But we'll just take a wander down here and then come back the other side. As I say, almost every building here is listed. I'm sure people look out their windows sometimes and wonder what the hell I'm doing. But It's just what you have to contend with, and if anybody starts on at you, you've got to just be nice and polite and tell them what you're doing. And if they ask you to politely to edit them out or not show their house or whatever it is, then obviously we comply. This coming up is one of the oldest houses here, look. I do like this herringbone stripe work in the building. What are we looking at here? 15th century origin maybe? It's called the Old Cottage, and it is old. I'm sorely tempted to go and mark that door, but you never know. I might set off an alarm or something. These little hidden villages now. There's another. Oh, look at this. I wouldn't say they're off the beaten track. Look at all these cars. You don't find all these cars when someone's off the beaten track, but they don't have the importance that they used to be. People with a lot of money can afford to live here. The houses take a lot of upkeep, and well, you do wonder how some people can afford it, to be quite honest. This is the western end of the village, Mark Cross Lane, and this bit is actually separately known as Mark Cross rather than Ripe. I don't know why, but there we go. And there's another listed building down here that I know of. Boy, that's getting cold. Look, I don't know if you can see that. The mist is really coming up this morning as the sun's coming up. Some building work going on here. I'll try and keep my voice down. Plenty of blossom on the trees. Yes, this is another listed farmhouse. The name escapes me at the moment. I'll walk up to the gate. Hopefully the camera's not shaking too much. I've got my new one with the stabiliser, or supposedly the stabiliser. Yes, Manor House Farm. Yes, that's it. Manor House Farm. Just looking. Ooh, I hope they won't mind me looking at that, but look at that chimney up there. I'm not sure that's going to have a bit of work done on it, but boy, look at that. God. See, unless you come out looking, you don't find these things. Anyway, turn the camera off for a few seconds while I walk back down the road. Look at that, Rivendell. That's a famous name, isn't it? I was saying about people affording to live here. the only way they can get round is to drive. Heard a car coming, but gone now. As I'll show you in a minute, there used to be what I would call a big bus service around here. Nowadays there's very little in the way of public transport, save for the little service of volunteer drivers, the Cookmere community bus, that comes out here, I think 2 or 3 days a week. But rather amazingly, the place still has a village stores and a post office. Used to be a butcher's, and the building has a little bit of age to it, and I guess they must have a coffee shop or something in there with these seats outside. Burton Cottage, I think that gives a clue. I think it was Burton's Butchers here. And the pub still has its old sign outside. And one thing I do know for sure, that K6 phone box has a preservation order on it, but it now contains a defibrillator, which I think is a marvellous use of these old phone boxes. And I'm going to get a brownie point here, because this is a George V. You'll see there's no numericals in there, so that's a George V wall-mounted post box. Now, I have no idea if this is, and do you know, to be honest, that looks original. That really does look original. This is from the days when, forget Stagecoach, Safe Down Motor Services used to run a little service through here. I can't remember if it was a 98 or the 98A. It came up from Seaford and went through all the little villages, up through the Cookmere Valley, up through here, Charlton, or Chowbington as people probably call it now, through Ripe and up round the back ways into Howsham. There's some more listed buildings down there. I don't want to walk down because I don't want to disturb people, but there's one with traditional white Sussex weatherboarding, and I think it's down there that the famous author died. I think it's 1947, but say I've got my notes with me, and we'll have a look. And we're going to head out along that way now towards the church. I've just noticed this on the wall here of the village stores. Whether it's something to do with the 80th anniversary of D-Day or not, I don't know. But you'll see the wings there. Possibly something to do with the RAF. Here's another piece of history. The National School, AD 1842, which then became the village hall. And the author I was telling you about was a man called Malcolm Lowry. Now, he didn't die in 1947, he died in 1957. but he was aged 47. And there it is. It's the old National School, dating back to 1842, which is now in use as the village hall. And there is a plaque on the wall here. The Hayton Baker Hall, 27 years chairman of the parish council, 1893 to 1970. He didn't have a bad life, did he? There you go. We're now going to have a look in the parish church of Wright, which is where Malcolm Lowry is buried. I think his famous novel was Under the Volcano or something like that. But anyway, let's go and see if I can film in the churchyard while it's nice and quiet. Having said that, I'll leave the gate there because I don't want it to squeak again. I doubt very much. There's huge trees all around. I doubt very much whether I will find Malcolm Lowry's grave here. I've no idea where to look. And not sure I can get anywhere to do the whole of the church justice. It looks a mix of ironstone and flint walls here. I know the wall on the other side of the church is listed. Oh, look how some of these gravestones age. This one here, (2011) she died. Look at the state of that gravestone. It goes back to 1983, but that's quite well deteriorated, isn't it? And I'm looking at that wall over there. It just must have been part of a walled garden of some kind. The glass house behind it. The Victorians and that used to love their glass houses, didn't they? But, we're growing pineapples in as a sign of richness. And I'm going to burn him out this door. I don't think we can go in. I'd be very surprised if we could. No. And I'm not going to force the issue. Boot scraper. Don't want your mucky boots inside the church. And we'll walk out this side. Oh, there's the remains of what was possibly an old Victorian gas lamp. And I'm just going to turn around here. Here's the War Memorial, First and Second World Wars. And I think, I don't turn around too quickly, if I just walk out here, we might be able to get a much better view of the church. There it is. Again, quite a large church for the area, but this would have served quite a thriving community at one time. Here we are. Lovely bird song. The cow pasture is out. I like these old brick pavements. There's another door there. Norman arches, I wonder. Now that is an interesting feature up there. I don't know if you can see that. Where am I? Where's the window? See that hanging out? That strut hanging out up there. It almost makes you wonder if that was used as a pulley fixture to get the bell up and in through that little window aperture into the bell tower. It does make you wonder, doesn't it? I've also noticed too that doesn't seem to be a lot in the way of stained glass here. I can see through the other side, but it's more sort of these little roundels rather than specific biblical scenes. You can see the light coming through the other side there a bit. Different sort of stained glass to other places. As I say, a very, very tranquil scene here. There's a blackbird trotting across the lawn. I'm not going to go looking for graves. I don't know who's buried underneath here, and without seeing a proper pathway through, I don't want to be guilty of any disrespect. Look at these lovely trees though. Oh. There. Oh, sorry, I've come down far too fast there. These are hundreds of years old, some of these trees. God. I wish I knew where Mr. Lowry's grave was. It's always more interesting if you can find the grave of the person you're looking for, but there's a heavy dew on the ground this morning. I've only got my soft shoes and it's getting on for 6 o'clock. People will be starting to get out and about, and what I don't want to do is draw attention to myself for the wrong reasons. But anyway, that's Ripe Parish Church. A couple of quick post-it notes before we leave. I completely forgot to tell you, didn't I? The church of St John the Baptist. I wasn't far out about the Norman arches. They're certainly Norman inspired. This church is 13th century mainly.
And with that, we'll end the video here. See you in Charlton.